Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today I am building a house called Maxis Manor, and this house is very special to me because this house is a gift to all of you because I hit 200 subscribers last week and I am just so incredibly excited and thankful. And so I wanted to do a house that would sort of thank you guys for supporting me and for supporting my channel. So this is it. So this house is a base game only house, which was interesting for me to do. But yeah, so it's a family house. It's 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms technically, although on the gallery listing it's listed as 3 because there is no way to do half bathrooms there. But yeah, so it started off on a 30 by 30 lot, and then I realized that in the base game worlds, so Willow Creek, Oasis Springs, and Newcrest, there's only one 30 by 30 lot, and it's in Newcrest. So I figured it would probably make more sense to make this into a 30 by 20 lot. So pretty much the entire build is done on this 30 by 30, and then at the end in the screenshots it's on a 30 by 20, and if you download it from the gallery it will be on a 30 by 20. So yeah, that was kind of like a last minute decision, but it just made so much more sense to do it that way than to have it be on the one and only 30 by 30 lot, because I think every world has 30 by 20 lots, and for some reason this game just doesn't have very many 30 by 30s. So the other thing is that I start off building, which this ultimately doesn't really matter because as I said before, I move it to another lot. This particular 30 by 30 lot, for some reason, I thought that the front of the lot is facing the road that's like a double wide road with the divider in the middle, and it's not. The front of the lot is actually that skinnier road. So at some point you'll see all of a sudden the front of the house sort of switches sides. So I realized that at that point and just rotate the whole thing. But like I said, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't end up on this lot anyway. But yeah, so one thing I noticed though was that by doing this build on a 30 by 30 and then moving it to the 30 by 20, is that you definitely want to make sure that you have move objects turned on when you place this lot. So you'll see once you get inside of the house, the dining room has a couple of doorways that really do require having move objects turned on because of the dining room furniture. Like, your Sims can get around it just fine. It's just that the game has like extra space kind of built in as a extra precaution. So those disappear if you don't place the lot with move objects turned on. The other thing is that I didn't catch this until after I had already uploaded it to the gallery, but the kitchen sink disappears. So if you download this, you'll need to place the kitchen sink. I had placed one of those little hand soap dispensers using move objects, and when I did that, evidently it did not take. If you download it without move objects turned on, there won't be a sink. And because I uploaded it before I realized that the sink was missing, then there is no sink when you originally download it. But other than that, it's all there. The usual suspects of trash cans and mailboxes and stuff. I remember all those things. I just, you just don't have a kitchen sink, so it is what it is. But yeah, so I used James Turner on his website has this really cool tool where you can, he sort of explains it all, but basically you can say what packs you want the game to load with. So I actually went in and used that tool to turn off everything else besides the base game, because otherwise, if I just have it set on the filters, I'm gonna accidentally mistake something and, it wouldn't end up being purely base game. Just trust me on that one. The other thing is that by doing that, so you want to make sure that if you go that route, that you have like a separate save file that you use for whatever pack. So I have a save file that's just base game only that I use for my base game only builds. But you kind of want to make sure you keep it separate. The other thing is that by doing it this way, it was kind of nice because I got to see my catalog more or less as the game was when it launched. And there's a lot of like cool decorative objects that I sort of forgot about. I did find myself kind of wishing here and there for some of my usual things that I go for. But overall, I didn't really struggle too much with coming up with ways to decorate and furnish the house. There were, of course, a few things that I'm like, ugh, like some of like my typical wall paintings and things like that I like to use are not base game only. Especially, like I found the kitchen was pretty easy to do. The living room was more of a difficult thing for me to furnish, and well, not specifically furnish, but to decorate. So, but overall, it wasn't too terrible. I was pretty pleased, and it was nice to see, some of my old favorites that I haven't really paid much attention to, because, in more recent times, if we've had a pack come out, I'm gonna use that stuff first. But yeah, so it was a fun little different type of build for me to do, because I don't know. It's been a long time since I've done a base game only build. It's definitely been a while. So it was kind of nice to go back to that. But yeah, so like I said before, this video and this build is thank you to all of you guys who subscribed to my channel. So I hit 200 subscribers last week, which is kind of crazy to me. And actually, I wasn't going to do a build, because I did a build when I hit 100 subscribers a few months ago, and I was like, let's do something different. And so I was going to do a question and answer video, but then I got really anxious and was like, well, what if nobody asks me questions? Then what am I going to do? Like, just sit there and just answer fake questions that I make up? Like, no, that seems silly. But I was thinking of doing a question and answer video because I got a comment like a week or so ago on my black and white party room speed build, which is a pretty good video, so if you haven't watched it, go check it out. But this is from Sister Sayer, and she says, please do, or I'm assuming she, I don't know, maybe not. They say, please do a little story time video about how you chose your username. So, because I don't know that I've actually ever really gotten into why I'm Mrs. Tomato, so I thought that was kind of a cool idea. So, this is that story time video. It's not going to be a full question and answer, obviously, but so basically, I've had a variety of usernames. So, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm 31. So basically, I've grown up with a variety of internet usernames throughout my lifetime. Basically, from the time I was like 12 or 13 onward, I've had either an email address, or back in the day, I had an AOL Instant Messenger screen name. Rest in peace, AIM. And so I'd always picked out names that were a little bit more temporary in nature. Not intending to be that way, but, it would be based upon, my current activities or interests or sports or music things that I was into. And so I found myself having to change my username pretty frequently. Like, every few years I would change my username because it'd be like, oh, I don't like this thing anymore, so I'm going to change it to something else that I do like. And then a couple of years later, I would change it all over again. And this has gone on up until I got married 4 years ago, which, by the way, if you're watching this video the day it comes out, which is October 18th, 2018, it is actually my wedding anniversary today. So after I got married, I was like, okay, I wanted to get rid of my previous username because it was more about being in college, and I had it for several years, or not being in college, but right after college. And I was like, okay, so I need to come up with another username. And my husband's username that he's had pretty much the same username his entire teenage and adult life, and I'm not going to tell you what that is because I don't think he wants it out there, because he still uses it, and he uses it for a lot of things. But I will tell you that it's related to tomatoes. And so I was like, well, I can just make a play off of that name, and I will become Mrs. Tomato. So that's why it's Mrs. Tomato. And also, it kind of has the added, I guess, sub-story, I guess you could say. So there are a couple of other, side reasons why. So first of all, I am naturally a very pale person, very very pale skin, but like kind of a pinkish undertone to them. I also have a very round face. And so if I get hot, or if I'm blushing, which I do quite a bit, or if I get sunburned, which happens a lot and very easily for me, my face sort of does resemble a tomato in some ways, which I know is like not the most flattering thing, but you know, just being truthful. The other thing is that, so my dad's mom, my Nana, growing up, had a tomato garden. And the entire time that she was alive, I didn't like tomatoes. And I never liked them. She would always send home extra tomatoes to give to us. And I was just like, never into these tomatoes. And so, she passed away. And literally within about a week after she passed away, I started liking tomatoes. And now I really like them. I eat them on sandwiches and salads and salsa, and I mean, like, they're such a good food, and they're so delicious. And it's like, it's one of those things where I'm like, oh man, I had like an ample supply of fresh homegrown tomatoes at the ready, and I didn't take advantage of it when I had the chance. So yeah, so that's kind of like the side part of that. So the rest of my username after Mrs. Tomato is 1018, which I sort of already said this before, but 1018 is my wedding anniversary. So in the United States, we do month, day, year. So I got married October 18th, 2014. So therefore, 10th month of the year, 18th day, 1018. So yeah, and I'm pretty much Mrs. Tomato 1018 almost everywhere anymore. There's a few places where I like haven't been able to change my username, but for the most part, I'm always Mrs. Tomato 1018, with one exception, and that is Twitch. So I don't stream on Twitch, and honestly, I probably never will at this point because, in case you didn't know, I'm pregnant and we are expecting our first baby in January, and I just don't see being able to keep to a streaming schedule with a newborn or an infant. I mean, they just sort of make up their own schedules, and they tend to change all on their own. And so I don't see that ever happening, being like a thing that I would do. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I would like to do it at some point, but it won't happen anytime soon. But I do hang out a lot in Twitch chats, and so on Twitch, I'm Mrs. Tomato 1018 14. 14 obviously being the year that I got married. And the reason why, it's a little embarrassing, but this goes back to several years ago, because I've been Mrs. Tomato 1018 for a long time before I even had this channel. And actually, side note, I've actually had this channel for a long time, and it took me almost 2 years to get the courage to actually post videos on it. So if you like look on Twitch, like on the, or not Twitch, YouTube on the like desktop version, and like, I don't remember, I think it's like under About or something like that. One of the pages will tell you like when the channel started, and my channel has been around actually since 2015. But then if you go and you look at when my first videos were posted, and my first video was posted in December of 2016. So yeah, and even after that, it's not very consistent for a very long time. But yeah, so anyways, so back to Twitch. So long time ago, I was in a Twitch chat for Deligracy, one of her streams that she was doing. And I was relatively new to Twitch at this time. I mean, I think she was too. And she was doing like some sort of a build, and it was like, she asked the chat, like, you know, press 1 if you want me to do this thing, or press 2 if you want me to do this thing. So I and everyone else in chat, like, you know, several hundred people, were all typing 1s and 2s and 1s and 2s. And so I typed 2, and then I got a message that popped up that said something to the effect of like, your message is too similar to that of other users. Please rephrase, and your message was not sent. And I was like, well, she said 2, so I don't know how else to rephrase it. So I typed the number 2 a second time, and her auto mod thing blocked me just like automatically for typing the number 2. And like, and this, by the way, this was under my old Twitch username, which is Mrs. Tomato 1018 without the 14. And I was like so embarrassed because I'm always the type of person who never likes to get in trouble. I don't like to break the rules because I get very, very embarrassed whenever I get caught like doing something wrong. Even if it's something like this where like I didn't know that what I was doing was technically wrong. And I will say, I feel like her auto mod settings were maybe set a little too extreme. And so I was like, so then I got this, this message that saying that I was banned from talking in Deligracy's chat on Twitch. And I was like, what? Like, for doing something that literally everyone else in chat was doing? Are you kidding? And so I sent one of her mods a message because I was like, well, maybe they have the ability to like reverse this somehow. And I don't remember who it was. I don't really care who it was. But whoever I messaged, they got back to me like a few minutes later and they were basically like, yeah, there's nothing we can do about that. Sorry. And I was like, seriously? Like, that's it? Okay. So I don't know what to do. And so my husband got home that day and he was like, what is wrong? And so I was like, I was so upset about this. I was actually shaking. I was like almost on the verge of like having a full nervous breakdown over this because like I didn't know what to do. I didn't think that I had really done anything wrong because, I literally got banned for typing the number 2. And so he was like, well, that's strange. And he was like, well, can you message Deligracy? I'm like, I'm not going to message Deligracy. Like, that just seems like a little weird. I was like, I've already messaged one of her mods and they've said that they can't do anything about it. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, well, maybe it's just like a temporary thing, like 24 hours or something. So I went back then, like the next day. Nope, still banned. I went back and checked again a few days later. Still banned. I was like, okay, so clearly this is like a permanent thing. And for whatever reason, they really can't unban me. So I just made a new Twitch username. And I was like, So, and I had been following like a few other channels at that time, so I unsubscribed from all of them, shut down the old Twitch thing that I had, and switched it to Mrs. Tomato 101814. So that's the very long and roundabout way of explaining why everywhere I am Mrs. Tomato 1018, except on Twitch, where I'm Mrs. Tomato 101814. So that's the story of my username, and yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed that. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Do you guys have any fun stories about why your username is your username? I'm always interested in this sort of thing. I actually, for my 28th birthday, I had a 2005 themed birthday party. So this was in 2015. So it was like, 10 years earlier party. And so I had everybody at my party, when instead of writing their names on their plastic drink cups, I had them write their AOL screen name from when we were in high school instead. So I'm always interested to hear these types of stories. But yeah, so anyway, so this is the Maxis Manor. It's currently available for download on the Sims 4 gallery. You can get to it through either the link in the description box below this video, or you can search for it on the gallery. Just make sure you set the search filters on the side to new first. And then you can search through either my username, which is obviously Mrs. Tomato 1018, or through the hashtag Mrs. Tomato 1018. And yeah, and once again, make sure you turn on move objects before you place the slot. There's no custom content on it, but obviously move objects is definitely key. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, join the other 200 plus people who have, and you can subscribe down below. And yeah, I hope you guys have liked this. So I will see you all in my next video. Bye.